Hello and welcome to Nifnex TV. Are you an entrepreneur or you are a budding entrepreneur who wants to make success and wants to have a really wildly successful career? Now the thing is that there's a huge failure rate in entrepreneurship. People surveyed in 60 countries, 2/3 of them still felt going towards entrepreneurship and making a career out of entrepreneurship was the way to go. But you know that because there's so many businesses failing on a regular basis, we'll actually talk to Minton from Entrepreneur Arena about this, who knows all about these things, and she helps people to get better and has built a beautiful community around her. But you know what? There's a lot of people who are wildly successful and some who actually go bankrupt as well. So we're trying to work out what the difference in the mindsets are and find out everything about it. So Grace, welcome.
Thank you.
So you're excited to be here, I'm assuming.
I am. I'm excited to be talking about entrepreneurship because
yes.
I love entrepreneurship.
So we relate to that because I'm definitely being on entrepreneurship as well, and that's exactly why you're here, because we want to find out more about what you do, but at the same time talk to us about the failure rate that to start with. There's a huge percentage of failure rate in entrepreneurship.
Yes, unfortunately 60% of new startups do not still exist after the first 3 years. So 3 years is kind of the valley of death period for new businesses. If you have made it past that, then you have done really well. And this is a terrible failure rate because the cost for people in their savings and their time, and you know the disappointment is massive. So many people who are actually successful entrepreneurs have had an experience of failure and persisted, which is good to know as well. If you are you're not living the dream straight away, that it's not an uncommon experience, that it is a struggle. And unfortunately, people learn how to be successful often from hard experience when it comes to building your own business.
Yeah. So building a business is hard work, and obviously you help them with the community that you're building. But can you tell us a little bit about what are the blind spots that people are sort of not looking at in a way, and what thinking pattern is that as they go along?
Sure. So our community is a bit different in that we have a vision that everyone in the community understands their own thinking and attitudinal patterns and how it shows up in terms of what is setting them up to succeed or potentially a risk in themselves of failure. So some of the things that cause entrepreneurs to fail, according to the research in their thinking, is too much detailed thinking, a love of detail, spending too much time in detail and not enough in the overview, too much planning. So if people love planning and feel a need to do particularly detailed planning before action, this does not correlate with success. Successful entrepreneurs tend to learn through action and in a cycle of act, learn, change very rapidly compared to others. So compared to the rest of the population, there are certain thinking patterns that really stand out in entrepreneurs, and one as well is acting very quickly. So there was also a correlation with failure for people who took too long to act, a lack of speed.
You gotta act quickly.
Yes. So the typical person who's kind of wired, already has the attitudes and motivations and thinking patterns of an entrepreneur, will see opportunities to make money and be energized by them. So they'll be filtering for opportunities to make money. For one, they like opportunity. That word energizes them. Yeah. And that usually means they dislike doing the same thing the same way again and again. So there's a love of opportunity, an interest in working with money, and these two things come together to just notice business opportunities, commercial opportunities around them. So most of those people will have actually many business ideas, and the challenge will be focusing on them long enough for them to succeed on one at a time potentially.
And they'll get to it fast as well.
And they'll act on it fast. So when someone has an idea and they take many years to act on it, this is already something to look at and say, am I actually also going to move fast enough once I start that business? Because it is that high action orientation really stands out from the rest of the population.
And they don't go into a detailed plan either.
No, whilst the bank and business school may encourage you to have detailed business plans, the finding is actually that you must do really high level thinking and think things through and understand what's most important, have a big overview. But you know, if you have too detailed a plan, you are wed to it. So you aren't so open to the speed of change that's required to process the learning, mostly the learning from market feedback.
Yeah.
So you have an idea that you think there's an opportunity around, and most people who have started a business will discover that the idea evolves very rapidly, very quickly once they start to test the market. Yeah. So that business plan, that detailed business plan, will become redundant very rapidly. And if you struggle against that, there will be a problem.
So obviously, by changing too much, that's another problem, though, isn't it?
That's right. So in terms of compared to the general population, entrepreneurs do like change, but it's for the most, it's a kind of evolutionary change, like an improvement, so an ongoing or continuous improvement. A small minority love big change and innovation, and they can be, if they're lucky, disruptors in their market. So disruptors are the high change people. They see real things that are really different and are prepared to do that and energized by that. However, if you do have that pattern, you need to watch out, because you can also change things in your business, your new business, so quickly that you never see that return on value, because it keeps moving too quickly. So there's quite a balancing act on some of these things, and they're not what you learn at business school. But if you're lucky to know someone who's already successful, they may share this with you. But it's pretty hard to access those wildly successful people.
And tell us what the difference between the thinking pattern. I mean, you've got a report that you're quite happy to sort of send the people watching this. It's 12 thinking patterns that make you extraordinarily successful. Is that correct? Sure.
So based on the research that was conducted with 96 entrepreneurs who had 300 businesses or more between them, they really looked at the thinking, attitudes and motivations, and so they measured 48 and found that 12 were significant and differentiated between people who were very successful and people who had been bankrupted by their business experience. So some of the things we've talked about already are in that group of what can cause failure to watch out for. Some of the things that distinguish entrepreneurs, the biggest deals, are an interest in working with money. So
they like working with money.
They're not shy about talking about money and thinking about money and wanting to be financially successful. So the interest in working with money is key, and the love of opportunity, being energized by opportunities, so they actually see opportunities. The ability to create new ways of doing things, and not be looking for the right way is very important, because the right way hasn't yet been created. So
you start off and you improvise as you go along.
That's right. So that in the new business is extremely important. Later on in a business that doesn't work so well.
To be a bit more strategic about that part rather than just changing willy-nilly.
So one of the other findings of the research actually that's interesting, this is the first research project that showed this, is not only is entrepreneurship not personality, it's things that can be learned. It is also a set of patterns that changes over the course of a business. So what's awesome for startup success in the first 5 years and sale will not serve you for creating a profitable business over 10 years.
Right.
There needs to be some changes.
Right. So that's one of the questions I had for you. Are entrepreneurs made or they're born?
They are. They're made from, in some ways, the crucible of the experience of actually building a business. If they persist and learn from what's difficult, they have very much been made by experience. There are, just to be willing to do it, to take the risk and go for it, that you already have to have some of the patterns to want it. And I think that many people do actually have some of those patterns, wanting to, you know, create new things, wanting to act quickly, seeing opportunity. You know, so many people do have that. What's tricky is that sometimes they have it to a level that, you know, for family and friends around them, they're like, they don't really understand, well, why would you be prepared to sacrifice so much now for later and things like that. But you know, but when you look at the data and you can recognise these patterns in yourself that maybe your family and friends don't understand, you recognise that they are actually things that set you up for success as an entrepreneur. It's a relief. Yeah. But you don't know what you also have that isn't going to set you up for success. So what's really nice about this in research is to help people recognise both their strengths and talents, and also the things that they would want to change without having to do it through hard experience.
The friends and family always have, you know, the good intentions as to wondering how are you going to survive, how are you going to pay your bills. But at the same time, entrepreneurs are a funny breed. We want to do what we want to do, and we see it through, which is good.
One of the big patterns that they do share that's different to the rest of the population is a greater sense of confidence in their own criteria and their own values and beliefs.
Yeah.
So it's that greater confidence in the internal information that allows them to say, well, whilst everyone else doubts at this, I think it will work, and sustain that optimism. Yeah. So that's actually a measurable thing that can be measured in someone, and I would say, you know, that's very noticeably one of the success patterns.
So one of the other questions that I had for you is, I mean, you've worked with so many entrepreneurs and you're working with an amazing community that you've built as well of entrepreneurs who are helping each other and you're helping them through it. But can actually entrepreneurs work by themselves, or do they work better when there's a business partner? But before you answer that question, Grace, tell us about the community that you built.
So my collaboration partner, Maria, and I have a vision to connect entrepreneurs with each other, because what we have found is that when people have made it through the valley of death, when they are successful enough to have learned from their experience, they're really generous with the knowledge and they want to help others succeed. And so we really feel that mastermind groups are a fantastic resource for people in business, particularly early in business, combining mentoring groups with mastermind, so people can access someone with more experience, and just not be isolated in the experience of building business. Like we said, family and friends don't often understand, but when you can connect with other people with the same values and beliefs, you don't feel so different or alone, and it can make a big difference to persisting. So on a number of levels, really we're passionate about breaking down isolation and helping entrepreneurs help each other, and we want to also do this in a way which, you know, includes really good quality information and research, and not just rhetoric about mindset.
So they go to entrepreneurena.community.
thearena.community is the URL.
thearena.community. That's a great domain.
We are worried people can't spell entrepreneur.
You'll find the link below. Make sure you put your details below to get the report on the 12 thinking patterns for success. So I'll get back to the initial question that I asked you, Grace. So, is it better to work with a business partner, or are you better working with that?
Interestingly, I have seen research saying that people, the partnerships are succeeding more. However, I would also say that, you know, business partnerships can be also notorious for being very hard to dissolve and break up, you know, in a way that works for both parties. So emotionally similar to divorce. So I would say that co-founders need to think hard and understand, you know, each other and how their skills are complementary and how they work together.
And the values.
Very good exit agreements before you start.
Oh, you've got the exit agreements before you even start. Okay.
This is the key to an exit agreement, how we exit.
I'd love to have you back again for another interview to talk about the exit part of it.
I would love to come talk to you about that.
And the patterns of success and the wildly successful people as well. So Grace, thank you so much for being here. It's, I think I've learned I was fascinated with the stats that you've got as well. So for those watching, please put your details below if you want the report on 12 success patterns for success. So Grace, thank you again, and please do keep watching Nifnex TV.